Hey, what's going on? Matthew Taman here. Welcome to another Joomla Live session. I am so excited for those that have tuned in, those that have signed up, and you're logged in, you are ready to go. I'm so excited about doing this live shows because it really gives me the opportunity to get to talk to you, to answer your questions, and just to, help you with whatever you need about Joomla. So today's session, and by the way, for those of you that are going to watch this later on, you can sign up for a session, whether it's a group or an individual. You can sign up for a session at learnjoomlafast.com. So now that I got that out the way, let's get to it. Okay, so today I really want to go over about content creation. Joomla is a content management system, and that means that you can be able to create content. So in Joomla, content pages are known as article pages. So when I make reference to something like article pages, I'm still referring to, content pages, but it's just, just call that for whatever reason. So this is what the back end looks like. Okay. The good thing about this is that if you want to create 5 pages, you can. If you want to create 500 pages, you can. If you want to create 5,000 pages, you can. There is absolutely no limit as to how many pages you can create. What's going to happen is that as you add more pages, it's just going to keep going down. And as you can see here, let's go over a few things first. So you see here, you have this search tools. When you click on it, it gives you several options. This is how you can be able to filter your content, because as your site grows, then you might want to get the things a lot faster. So on this section, you have this drop down. You have the trash, you have the unpublished, you have the publish, you have the archive, and then you have the all. So with the trash, there are times when you delete an article, okay, or you delete a page, it is going to automatically go to trash. It's not out the system yet. I've had so many people that said, Matthew, I deleted this page by accident. Is there a way for me to get it? Absolutely, you can. So when you delete something, you click here and you go over to trash. You click on the trash. It's going to be stored in the trash can or the trash bin. So you can always go back there to restore it back. But once you put it in the trash bin, if you delete it from the trash, then it is going to be permanently deleted. Okay, let me repeat that. If you delete an article by accident, it's going to go over to trash. If you go to the trash and you delete it, it is going to be permanently deleted. And at that point, you will not be able to get access to it. And then, of course, you have unpublished, you have archive. You can archive certain content. So as you build more, then you can use that as a reference point for your users to be able to get to. And then you have the categories here. You can search, you have the access. Now with the access, you can create content for the public, for guests, for registered, the special and the super user. This is for the person that have the main access, the site owner. This the super admin, we'll call those other super users. They have access to every part of the website. They can do anything, edit anything, move anything around. So you have to be careful as to who you're giving admins permission to when it comes to your content, because if you give the wrong person or the wrong people access to that, then they can really have a field day with it. So you definitely be careful with that. And you can also filter by author. You can type the name there. It's going to show you. You can choose the position. For example, what access level do they have? Is it admin? Then you can kind of go through there. And for languages, if your website is a multilingual site, you can, filter through the languages for you can pull all of the English, whether it's Spanish, whether it's Swahili, whatever it is, you can be able to, kind of sift through or go through to see what language that is. And then you have tags. Now, tags are really great ways because they allow you to be able to find articles a lot faster. So, for example, on the front end, you can use certain tags that you think people would look for on your site. And you can create like a tag world or something that when people see the tag on the front end, they can be able to click through it. And I'm going to go over some of this later on, but I just want to go through the back end first so you understand what all these are. And then you go here to the max level of the sub levels you can have from the main category. You can have multiple sub, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And let's go over here. You can choose how you want to view things based on order ascending or ordering ascending status. You go through how you want to filter descending order. So you choose here how you want to be able to view your content, or you can leave it at default. And over right here, you have this drop down for you to select how many content do you want to see in a single page. By default, it's set to 20, but if you want to do a little bit more, you can. Now, I would caution that you really don't want to use all. So let's say that you have a website that has, let's say, 5,000 pages, for example. I really would caution the all, because it is going to load off 5,000, and that can be resource intensive on your site. At most, I think you can leave it at, 100 or 200. Even 500 is okay, but I wouldn't recommend you just go to all unless you have a very small site. And then for here, you have the hits, the number of hits this particular article has gotten, the number of votes. So people can be able to vote on the article. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And also have a rating system here, and you have an ID. It's important that you understand that your ID, you can be able to use that to connect different articles together. And once again, we're going to take a look at that. So please just make sure that you hold all your questions until we finish this section. Once we're done with this section, then you can be able to ask all the question that you want, and I'm going to do the best that I can to break everything down. Okay, so now that you've understood how this part works, let's go. You click on the search tools, is going to put that up. And let's go to categories. Now, categories, I recommend that you create categories for your content. Okay, when you create categories, it allows you to be able to effectively manage those content. I've seen so many websites where people, it's just disorganized, especially on the back end. I remember years ago when I was working on a Joomla project, and the previous designer just had things all over the place. It was just like, oh my goodness, what happened? Like a tornado just hit the site. So you want to be able to make sure that you are able to kind of organize things. So let's go over to categories. But before we do that, I want to show you something here. You see where it says option? Let's click on option. When you get to the options page, now this is something that you would have to go and change these based on your individual preference. But I want to show you what to do, where to go to make changes. A lot of times when people are creating articles, they just don't pay attention to this part. They don't know. They go and try to do things individually. This is called your global settings. And you're going to see in just a moment how the global settings work. Okay, so right now, where it says articles, this is referring to all the single individual articles. So you can choose the type of layout that you want. Right now, it's default. Do you want to show the article titles? There are times when you're creating certain content and you don't want to do that. Now, if you choose whatever options you choose here, or whatever changes you make, it is going to be the same thing for every article that you create on Fourth, or that's currently there right now. So for example, if I say show title and I click this says hide, and when I click on save, it is going to automatically hide all my current titles and any future titles that I create. Now, you may want to do this again, but usually you don't want to hide the titles because that's what people are going in to see. Do you want to show the intro text? Do you want to show position of article info above, below, or split? And then you want article title, show category. Now with the category, there are times when you may not want for people to see the category of something. You want to hide it. Once again, this is based on your personal preference. So you want to show category, you can do that. Do you want to link category? What that means is that when you create a category, someone can be able to click on that category and it's going to take them. Let me see if we have something here. So like you see this one here, it says blog. This is the category. So if I were to click on this one, it is going to show me all the articles that are part of the blog. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment. I want to give you guys a rundown. Show parent, just lift that at no. Also association, you can lift that at no. And one cool thing too is that if you don't know what things are, sometimes when you put your mouse over this, it gives you a little explanation for it. Now, if you want to show author, this is once again personal preference. You want to link author, you want to show create date. Now, if you're running like a blog website, you may want to show the dates on there. And what that means is that on the front end, you can show the date for it. And also the beautiful thing about this is that whatever change you make here is global, but at the same time, you can change each individual page to override whatever changes that you make here. But this one is like a global, so you set it once, then it just across the board. And then show icons. The icons are the little icons that you can be able to share. You can share on social media, like Facebook, Twitter, and things like that. That's what that's for. Let's go back to record hits. Do you want to show how many hits you've gotten? Sometimes you need that, but other times you don't. Then the editing layout. You want to show the publishing option. So I just want to give you an overview so you can kind of go back here, and please go back and play with this. Okay, what I mean by play with it is when you have a fresh install of Joomla, that is the best time for you to go in there, to move things, to tweak things, to delete things, and just get a feel for how everything is. Okay, so even before you launch your official website, just download a version and just give it a go. Change things around, move things around. And then this is the targeted. So the targeted, what that means is that when someone clicks on a link, what do you want to happen? Do you want it to open the same window in a new window, in a pop-up, or in a modal form? So you have the options to do that for this here. And the URL A, B, and C, you're going to see those on the article side. And then for the intro image, how do you want it to be? Left, right, none. The full image, the same thing there. And then the maximum version, you can be able to keep up to a certain amount. So versioning, okay, enable version. This is really key here. Okay, key, because this was introduced in Joomla 3.2, I believe. What versioning does is every time that you save an article, it shows you who saved it and the time that was saved and what changes were made to it. So if you have multiple admins on your site that are always adding content, they're always editing things, this is going to keep a maximum of 10 revisions, 10 changes. You can add more or you can decrease it. So it's great because if you have multiple people on your website that are making changes on the articles, if someone screws up and you don't know what happened, you can always go back to that version. You can revert back to that version and see who made that change and who was logged in, and it helps to keep that. So let's go over to the categories. With the categories, you have the blog. You can have the layout as a blog, which gives you something like this. Or you can have like a list. So with the blog layout, let's go back over here. With the blog, you saw you have two columns here, and it shows now the list. This is what a list is going to look like, something more like this at the bottom here. So you want to keep that to whatever you want it to be. And let's go over article messages, empty. So some of these here, I'm just kind of go through them. So for the categories, you can have the top level, show all levels. And then the block feature. So with the block feature, when we take a look at the menus, you're going to see that you have one lead in. So for this one here, you have one lead in, which means you can only have one at the very top, one at the bottom, one next to it like this. And when you scroll down here, you have you have two columns, which is what this is. You see columns here, 2. If I were to change this to the 3, this is going to change the 3. If I were to change it to 4, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that I always tell people is that when I'm doing this live training, please, if you're following along, please feel free to make some changes on your end and just kind of play with it and see how it looks, because the point of it is I want to get you to do something. I don't want to do every single thing for you. That's the best way for you to learn. And then the multi-column order, you can have it down or across. Now let's go to list layout. You can be able to choose the option. Do you want to show author in the list? So this is the blog layout, and this is the list layout. So once again, the list is something like this. So you have items on the list. Do you want to show the author name? Do you want to show the votes? And then you go to shared. You have some more shared settings here. You can publish it on publish, and you can go to integration. You want to have a read more. You want a news feed. I'm not going to cover news feed today, because you have the RSS feed that you can be able to have people subscribe to and automatically know what's happening that URL rerouting. Not going over that now. Enable custom fields. Yes, you can enable custom fields. They allow for you to be able to add additional fields to collect information. And then you want to go to permissions here. So you don't want to touch this unless you really know what you're doing. But the beautiful thing about this is that you can come here and you can change whatever permissions. As you go through each one, you notice that the calculated settings, it says not allow, not allow. This means that for the general public, do you want them to be able to configure the access control level? That's what ACL stands for, access control level and options. You can set that to allow. That means that the public can be able to have customization options, which you don't want to do that. So generally speaking, these settings here work perfectly fine. You know, once again, unless you really know what you're doing and you want to tweak some things. Now, there are times when I'm working on certain projects for clients and they want to change and adjust certain permissions, customize certain things. So that's when I come here and I'm able to do some changes to it. But for now, that is okay. So whatever changes that you've made, you want to click on save and close. But since we didn't really make any changes, let's go back to the article section. And when you look at your article pages, as I mentioned before, you notice that it's like the Microsoft Word editor here. This is the JCE editor. They have another editor called the Tiny MCE. I'm sorry, they have another one called the JCE editor. This is the Tiny MCE. And if you've ever edited any type of Word document before, then you can certainly do this. Now, the JCE is a little bit more robust. It's a little more advanced and gives you a whole lot more features than the default Tiny MCE. But this is a great way for you to get started. So I want to go over a few of the options that you can see right here on your screen. So first, let's go to the blog options. This is where you get to choose an image. So let's go on the front end. And as you can see, an image like this, you get to choose which image that you want to show for that particular one. And then for the article format, since this is utilizing the Helix framework, which we're going to be covering in another training session, that one gives you the ability for you to choose video, you can choose gallery, you can choose audio, which means that if you have an audio that you want to embed, like a podcast or something, you can do that, put that code in here. If you have a gallery, you can upload as many pictures as you want. If you have a video, you can put the video URL like Vimeo and YouTube. You can put that in here. And then for standard, of course, is just this image. And then you have the images and links. And do you remember before we talked about the links A, link B, and link C? This is where you put all that stuff. And where it says URL targeting, we went over global, use global. When you click on the drop down, they've made some significant changes to it. So before, when you click on the use global, you didn't know what item was going to happen when you click on global. So for this one, for example, where you see parentheses, it's letting you know that in the global settings, it's set to open up in the new window. So that's what those parentheses mean. It's very key because before you didn't know if it was going to open the same window, a different window, and things like that. So it's letting you know that's what the global setting is for all your articles that you create. Same thing for links A and link C. And then this is where you can choose your images. If you want to have an intro image, you can put that there. You want to have it the float is set to left by default. You can have an alt text, which I definitely recommend. Alt texts are great because if your page is not loading, then people can be able to see that this image, this is what it's about, and it's really great. And now let's go over to the options. You know, a few moments ago, we went over the core options for the entire article section. Well, this one here is for the specific article. So what that means is you can override what you set in the default. So if there's something that you want to have for this specific article or just for specific pages, you can override the global settings. So you come here for the layout, you click, you can choose whatever one that you want. You can choose for the link titles. Right now, the parenthesis is letting you know that for the link titles is set to yes. But if you don't want that, you can click no. And the same thing too for show title. So you can kind of go through here and choose each one that you want to change the global settings. Now, this is very key because as I mentioned before, whatever settings that you change in the global, it affects every article that you create and the existing ones that you have. But if you want to have a few that can overwrite those changes, you certainly can do that here. This is the read more. And also you can add the browser title, which is optional because you can do that on the menu, which we're going to take a look at in just a moment. So this is the browser page title. This is the read more text. Let's go to publishing. You can choose when you want this to start publishing and when you want it to finish. So let's say you're running a special or something that you want to produce this content to be available just for a period of time. Well, you can certainly do that here. You choose the calendar, you choose the date, you choose the year, the month, all that stuff. And you can fine tune here as well. And you can choose when it's finished publishing. What that means is that after that, on that particular date that is finished publishing, it is going to stop showing it. And you can choose to create a date. You can link each article to a user. You can do that here. You can create by alias, which an alias, we'll go over that in just a second. And then let's go over to the meta description. So this is for the SEO part, but you want to put more emphasis on the meta description because search engines really don't use keywords now. They look at more the description here. And then for the robot, this is just to say, do you want the robots to index this page? So you always want to have this as index follow, which you can also set that on your global settings. The index follow meaning that Google, for example, will index this page and they'll follow it. Now, if you have like a membership website where you don't want the search engines to get access to it, then you click on this here. You can go to no index and no follow. So what that means is that they won't index it and they won't follow it. Even if they do, since it's a membership site, you can set the global permissions for it, which we can take a look at right now. So speaking about global permissions, you can set the access level for this here. Do you want it to be public, guest, register? So if you set this to registered, that means that everyone that get access to this page would have to register in order for them to see this. This is not going to be available for the general public to see. They would have to register first. And then you have your tags down here. You can create tags and you can assign tags to different pages, which we're going to take a look in just a moment. All right, so let's go back to configure screen. The show publish options. Do you want to set that to yes? You can show that. The administrator images, you can kind of come through here and do the same thing for there. And then this is where you have the permissions, as we mentioned before. You really don't want to mess with these unless you have a reason to. But generally speaking, the permissions are good how they are. And then you want to get yourself familiarized with the editor. You have to edit. You can copy paste if you want to. Let's say you use something like this. You can definitely check the source code to see what is in there. For those that have a little bit of HTML knowledge, you can click on the source code, to kind of edit something there. Once you're done, you click OK. I'm just going to cancel. And then you're going to go through some of these. If you want to add a read more, this is where you put the line and then you click to add the read more. You want to add a page break. You want to add an image. You click to add the image here. You can choose that option. And then you want to link an article. You can be able to link an article there as well. So you guys are going to get the chance to do this on your own, because one of the beauties about when I do this live training is the screen share. So some of the stuff that I'm kind of speeding through is because you're going to get the opportunity for you to share your screen with me. And once you share your screen, you can be able to go through each one to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about and what you're learning. And if you want to link something, you just highlight it. There's the link button here. You can insert the link. You can put the text. You can do a bunch of different things on here. So when we get to that screen sharing part of it, I'm going to give you the permission to be able to share your screen, and we can kind of walk through, because I realized that that is really the best way for you to learn. If I do everything for you, show you everything, move everything, customize everything, then you really don't learn that much. And then you have a few more stuff here. So you can choose the heading. You have the format you can choose. So as I mentioned before, if you use Microsoft Word, then you're definitely familiar with this, or any type of Word editor. You can be able to, add tables. You have cell rows. Now there's another way to create content. This is an extensions, but we're not going to cover extensions today. Maybe once we do the other session, we'll cover extensions, but you can be able to use a page builder, which is drag and drop, to build your article pages instead of doing this way, which we're going to take a look at soon. So for your title, you want to put your title, and then you want to be able to put your alias. If you don't know what the alias is, this is what is going to show at the very top of your website. Okay, so this is what the search engines see. This is what people also see to know what this particular page is about. So you definitely want to make sure you have alias. If you don't have an alias, the system is going to automatically just generate one for you if you don't know what that is. So now we're going to versioning, which I mentioned before, but because there haven't been any changes as much, you won't see a whole lot here, but it's just going to show you, do you want to keep this forever? This set to yes, this set to no, you can choose that. And this is what the versioning part comes in. So it shows you the date that something was edited, and it shows you the author who edited it. You can also, they didn't put in version notes, but when you're doing that, you can add notes so people know exactly, that are referring to that. But it shows you the character count. So I mentioned before that someone can edit something by accident and then you're trying to figure out who did it. Well, it's going to show you exactly right over here when it was done, and also shows you the character count. So right now you see 213. And by the next version, it went up, and then it went up some more. So you can kind of see who did that, what changes were made. Or if you want to restore back to a certain point, you can just click here and you can restore that back to a certain point. You can keep on or off, choose one or more versions. Do you want to keep this forever? You can set to yes, or you can set it to no. You can also delete ones that you don't need. But once again, if you have a site that has enough space, you can just keep this, and as more changes are being made, so that way you can keep track of who's doing what and know for exactly, you can pinpoint who made those changes to the site. So this is the article section here, and then the language. If it's a multilingual, you can see right here to choose the language. You can choose the categories as well. So let's go now. We're going to take a look at the category section. So let's close this out. And then we have the categories. As I mentioned early on, I definitely advise and recommend that you create categories for your pages, because it helps you to organize things a lot more cleaner. So let's click on this categories. And once you get here, you notice that you can see the categories created. If you want to move it, you can drag it and drop it up like that. You can click the search tools. Same thing as articles to narrow down on what you're looking for specifically. You can choose to delete something. It shows how many has been deleted, how many has been saved, how many has been unpublished, and how many items are actually live. So you click on new, and then from here you can be able to add the category title. You can choose the options, what layout you want. You can choose an image if you want to connect it to it, and then permissions, and so on and so forth. So you can choose the public options too. So if there's a category that you want to create that's not for the general public, you can do that as well. So we don't need anything, just click on cancel.